Hello, friends. A few weeks ago, the folks over at Two Family Homestead posted in their group on Facebook inviting everybody, all the other homesteading YouTube channels and other kind of channels, or YouTube channels, to a collaboration, making your favorite holiday dessert. Well, I'm single, and I really don't make desserts. Occasionally I'll make goat's milk ice cream. Occasionally I'll make tapioca pudding. I love tapioca pudding. But honestly, my favorite holiday dessert is the one you make, and I get to eat. I'm single. I don't bake. I don't have time for that. It's hard for me to find the time to plan healthy food to eat for myself. I often just throw things together. I eat when I want to eat. I eat what I'm in the mood. But to actually go get a recipe and plan, that takes a lot more time. And yeah, I do it. But not as frequently, and I definitely don't make desserts. I mean, it's pretty rare. You know, if I really get a craving for cookies and I'm in town where I can buy them, I'll buy them. But honestly, usually I just go without. That's one nice thing about living out here is you save a lot of money and a lot of calories on food you really shouldn't be eating in the first place. And so besides not really having anything I ever make that's a dessert that I love, I mean, honestly, my favorite holiday dessert is what you make and I get to eat. But besides that, I'm very rural, and the closest real grocery store is like 60 miles away. So if I don't have it in the house, I don't eat it. Now, there is a food store about 15 miles away, and it's a very, very small store. Half of the building is actually an Ace Hardware store. So I can go and I can pick up some chips and Coke or beer and a chainsaw. I can go pick up some hot dogs and maybe some iceberg lettuce and some plumbing supplies or screws. I mean, it's a hardware store. Literally half the building is a hardware store. I can pick up some potting soil from outside while I pick up some eggs. But if I want parsley, fresh parsley, nope, they don't sell fresh parsley. If I want red leaf lettuce, nope, they don't have it. If I want some, I mean, there's a lot of things. Their produce department is teeny. In fact, the whole grocery store section, the entire grocery store section is about the size, well, actually maybe the whole building is about the size of like a Walmart or even, you know, a grocery store's produce department. I mean, it's really not very big, and they don't offer much. So I'd have to drive 60 miles to get supplies, spend hours. I mean, it's just, I told them, no, I'm not doing this. Well, then this past week, the videos started popping up. And there's some really great videos in that playlist. Some really great recipes, desserts. Yes, I would just love to go over to their house and enjoy those recipes. I would really, really, really enjoy that a lot. Probably never going to make any of them. Maybe I might make one or two. Maybe. But honestly, I may have plans, I may desire, but I usually don't get around to it because there's just too much other things to do. Well, Goldshaw Farm up in Vermont, he's really not a cook. His wife obviously does all the cooking, but he decided he wanted to join this collab. And he had been learning about what the native people of Vermont used to eat back when this country was first being settled, what the Native Americans ate, what the pioneers ate. And he decided to try this squash. It's like squash maple syrup, and I forget the other ingredient. I mean, it really was pretty simple. And so Well, in making it, he broke his camera, so he really never got to finish on camera. I mean, he did manage to fix his camera himself, sort of. It works. But he just had to tell us. I mean, it was kind of stringy. It was okay. But it was more of a history lesson, more of education. I mean, it was a good video. It was a really good video. But it got me thinking. Yeah, winter squash is not my favorite food. I'd rather have sweet potatoes any day than winter squash. If you ask me, would you like a slice of pumpkin pie or apple pie? 100% of the time, I'll take the apple pie. I'll eat pumpkin pie, but honestly, it's not my favorite. Just all the winter squash recipes, well, I like spaghetti squash, depending on how it's made. But winter squash, I mean, just in general, I almost never buy it. Once in a blue moon, I do. And I've tried growing it, but I gave a lot of it away because it did really well and had more than I would ever eat. But I happen to have a butternut squash that I was given. Did not buy it, but I happen to have this butternut squash. And watching his video, I remembered a recipe in one of my cookbooks that I've made a couple times. Very healthy. It's a dessert recipe, but it's very healthy. And yeah, it's not my favorite. Again, my favorite is what you make and I get to eat. So you make it and I eat it. That's my favorite. But I thought, you know what? I could make this. It's pretty flexible. I have a butternut squash that it calls for. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to make that. I'm going to share this recipe. Because one thing I've noticed in all the recipes I've been seeing, a lot of them have a lot of sugar. And I thought, not everybody wants to eat that much sugar. So a lot of people can't eat that much sugar. I mean, they just simply cannot eat. They're not allowed to. They have health issues, dietary issues. It's not good. And honestly, we don't need that much sugar. We get way too much sugar this time of the year. So I thought, you know, this might be something that other people would really, really enjoy knowing about. So I decided I would make this recipe. The recipe comes out of this cookbook, squash pudding. And basically, you just take part of a butternut squash, you bake it, you add your choice of sweetener, and she suggests some pureed fresh pineapple or some ripe pears, peeled, or some grapes or bananas. So you have those choices. A little bit of oil, some nutmeg, some pecans, but those are optional, and you just mix it all up and you bake it. It's pretty simple. So, but I like to do things a little differently. I figured, yeah, it's wintertime, but I mean, look, there's no signs of rain. It's a beautiful day. I mean, look at that bright sun. It's just, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's chilly. I'm in a long sleeve sweatshirt. It's about, well, it started off at, I think it was 44 when I woke up, and it's in the 50s now. But why use the kitchen oven? I mean, I'm on propane. I've got a big old propane tank over there, and I don't know if you've ever cooked with propane. I mean, it's pretty much just like gas, but it's expensive. And I've got a sun oven. Now, this is not the American sun oven. That's a newer model. This is what they sold before they redesigned it to fit the American cooking style. We like to use bigger pans and things like that. And the bigger pans just won't fit in this thing. It's more small. So, honestly, if I had the money, I would get an American sun oven. I'm jealous of that. But this works just fine. And these things aren't cheap. So, yeah, it's a little breezy, but it's Nothing like it was at the beginning of the week. Oh my goodness gracious, it was windy that day. Or for 2 days, it was super, 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 super windy. Now it's just breezy. So I am going to use the sun oven and a free cooking source, the sun. And so I'm going to do this outdoors. You know, I'm in Texas. I'm going to take advantage of this beautiful sunny day. So I am going to cut my squash in half, and then I'm going to, because I want to save these seeds. Yeah, this was grown commercially. I have no idea if these seeds will germinate and grow new squash, but heck, I want to try. So I am going to cut this in half, scoop out all the seeds to save, and then I'm going to put it in the sun oven and I will be back. Okay, my plan is the part over here, I can't really, where you can stuff it. I'm going to make a dinner out of that. I'm going to stuff it with some sausage and something else. Make some kind of yummy dinner. And so I'm only going to use these parts down here, the whole, for the squash pudding. And so I decided to cut it off, you know, cut them in half before I even cook them. I thought that'd be easier. So I had to readjust this. The sun, in that short amount of time, has already moved. I mean, I did have the stove facing this way, and or the oven, and I've had to move it that much, because it was throwing a shadow. And so it was all the way up to, it was close to 200 when I opened this door, but it's cooling down a lot. So I'm going to close the door and fasten these things to get a good seal. And I'll keep an eye on it. I'll probably have to turn it a lot because the sun's pretty low and I don't want any shadows. I want this, you know, it's going to take a few hours. Probably longer than it would in the conventional oven, but like I said, propane's pretty expensive, and to me it's just an absolute waste to, I mean, the oven uses a lot of propane or gas or even electricity compared to the stove. And so when it's a day like today and it's nice out, I honestly, I'll use the sun oven. So I'll be back later once this is all done baking and show you the rest of this recipe. Well, friends, I'm back. It's been a few hours. I had to undo these tabs so that it could vent a little bit. The glass was fogging up so much that the temperature was staying around 250. Since letting it vent a little bit, temperature has been, you know, 275, almost 300. So it's taken, I mean, this is definitely takes longer than if I had put it in the oven at a higher heat. But that's okay. I mean, we're in the 60s today. This is one thing I like about Texas weather is when the sun's out, it doesn't matter how cold it gets at night, it warms up during the day, and I love it. So I'm going to make, you know, I could take all this into the house. My Cuisinart died. It was over 30 years old. But that's okay because we can do this off-grid. I mean, I do have a mini food processor I could use, but I don't feel like taking everything inside and doing it. I've got a nice potato masher. That will work real well. And I took the other parts out, the other part of the squash out, about, I don't know, maybe an hour ago. I could have gotten out here earlier, but I got tied up with something. But I didn't want that to be as done. I wanted this part to be softer and more well done. Whereas the other part, I plan on stuffing it and baking it some more. So I really didn't want it to be as done. So I took it out. Well, this recipe, squash pudding, I don't know if I can, if you can see that, if you can see it or not, but it says to use 4 to 6 cubes of fruit sweetener thawed from page 322, or you can use pureed fresh pineapple, ripe pears that are peeled, seedless grapes, or bananas. Well, I took a couple bananas out of the freezer, and I'm just going to use that because that's what I have available. Then you add a little bit of oil. Let's see if I can get this to focus. And a dash of cinnamon or nutmeg, and if you want some pecans on top. I have some pecans. I don't have a lot that are already, I mean, these are all whole. I don't have any that are already, but I think I have in the freezer. I don't know. I'm just going to use these. I got to take them out of the shell and stuff. The thing about this recipe is you can do whatever you want. If you're not sugar-free and you want to add brown sugar or maple syrup, go ahead. But I wanted to, I thought about this recipe, and I know there's a lot of people out there who are gluten-free and they're dairy-free and they're sugar-free for health reasons, and so I thought I would share this. I've never used this kind of oil before, but let's experiment. I'm going to try coconut oil. Now, this is the kind of coconut oil that actually has a slight coconut flavor. So I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it's so little bit that I'm going to go ahead and try it. Why not? And then I've got my cinnamon and my nutmeg. And I've got a bowl to smash it all in and another bowl to bake it in. I think I'm only going to do half today and save the other half for another day, because remember, I'm single and I don't think this is going to be something that would taste that good cold. I think I'd rather save the other half and put it in the refrigerator with the other 2 halves that I'm going to use at another meal. And I mean, if I decide I need it on a day that's not sunny, that I can't use the solar oven, I can throw it in the house oven. Otherwise, I can bring the solar oven, the sun oven out here and make it out here. I can be flexible. But, so I don't have a tripod or anything, so I'm going to put the camera down and I'm going to mix this all up and then put it in the bowl and then stick it in the oven, and I will be back. I took a little bit of coconut oil. I'm assuming that this is not as much as quantity as the recipe assumes I'm using, so I did not use very much coconut oil. And it's hard, so I just scraped it. And then I took 1 banana, and I just smashed everything up and mixed it all together. The hot squash actually melted the coconut oil nicely. And these pecans actually were grown right here in the Texas Hill Country. So these are locally grown pecans, and I just broke them up with my hands and threw them on top. Well, I added a hefty dash of cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg, and when I mixed it all up, and so now I'm gonna close up the to get this a little flatter. I'm gonna close up the oven. I'm gonna let it still vent. I'm not gonna close up that. I don't know. Let's see. You can see with the door open, it really dropped the temperature. So when I close this door, it's going to start getting hot in there again. And basically, you're just, letting it get back up to nice warm temperature and let all the flavors melt and everything. So, see. I don't know if the book, I'm sure it gives an estimation of how long you should let it bake. Okay, it says you're supposed to put it in an oiled casserole, which I did not oil that. But I really don't think it's going to be a problem. Bake at 350 for 30 minutes. Serve warm or cold. Well, that's not going to get up to 350, so I'll probably, but it's already hot. So I'll probably come out in a half an hour or so and check on it and see how, and it'll probably be done. But I hope this, if you really like winter squash, this might be something you'd want to try and maybe play with the different fruits or other kinds of sweeteners to come up with your favorite recipe. Different kinds of oils. I used a coconut oil. I just want to see what it tasted like. An oil with no flavor might be better. But I hope, especially if you're on a gluten-free, dairy-free, or sugar-free diet, and you're looking for some, something different, a dessert that you can tolerate, try this out, especially if you like winter squash. If you like winter squash a lot, you'll love this. I mean, I'm just a neutral fit. I could care less about winter squash. I can eat it or not eat it. And I remember it being pretty good. I don't remember what fruit I used back then. Maybe pears or grapes. I really don't remember. It's been so long since I made it. But I hope this gives you some inspiration to create, some kind of squash pudding that your body can handle or your taste buds like. Thanks for watching, and I hope you watch all the other videos in the collaboration. I will provide a link to the collaboration so you can see all the other, they're holiday desserts, winter desserts that people are making. And it's a long list of channels. There's a lot of them. So I'm sure whether you're on a special diet or not on any diet of any kind, can eat whatever you want, that you will find something new that you'll want to try. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.